Hi my awesome friends, I hope you're having fun preparing for Christmas. I thought I'd just do this bonus tutorial on a little bit of alcohol in color, and let's get started. So welcome back to Taper Tag. I wasn't going to do any more tutorials for 2022, but I just felt like doing one today. What I've done is I've prepped 3 very similar tags for you. The first one I've inked with my Sharpie, my fat black Sharpie, but as you can see it's very light lilac because my Sharpie is nearly dry, and then that one I've inked with a new Sharpie, so you can actually see the difference in the color, and then this one is completely uninked. So a lot of people asking me, do you have to ink with your black Sharpie or your black acrylic before you use alcohol ink? And the answer for me is always yes. So I'm just going to, sorry, let's remove that, buff off the ink here. Using little sanding buff. If you don't have a sanding buff, you can use some steel wool. I have a little bit of an overcast day today, so my light is not brilliant. Okay, so there are the 3 tags. This one is uninked, and the other 2, as you can see, once you've buffed off the ink, they pretty much look the same. Okay, so now we're going to use our alcohol ink, and I'm going to choose the same colors just so you can see the difference. What I find is, the girls seem to be struggling with using alcohol ink, so I'm just going to refresh and give you a tip or 2 again on what I do to make it look fun. So we're going to try 2 very different colors, and I'm going to color them all the same as I mentioned. And going back to what I use an old child's paintbrush. So this paintbrush was my son's when he was in primary school. He's now 23, and I cut the bristles very short, as you can see, very short bristles. That gives me a little bit of control, so I don't drop the ink on and then wait for it to move. I actually manipulate it with the paintbrush. So here we go. And while I'm busy doing these, just want to thank all the ladies that have been my happy mail friends this year, that have sent posts to South Africa. Really appreciate it. It's nice to receive goodies. Whoops, made a little drop there, but it doesn't matter. So I didn't clean my brush, so you can see it's green. That was from my last alcohol ink endeavor, but I kind of like not having everything perfect. Really adds interest. As you can see, I am not going over my raised areas. Sure, I might touch them or go over the edge a little bit, but that's not a problem. But I'm not covering the whole area that I have techniqued. And the reason being, it's quite hard to remove all the alcohol ink successfully if you do that. Okay. Sorry, I'm just going to use my lappy and remove some of that ink there. I quite like the contrast of the orange and the yellow. Must admit it's not a combination that I've used before, but just felt like going bright. Okay. And so there you can see. The other question that I was asked recently is, do I find that the ink takes a long time to dry and is sticky, the alcohol ink? Yes, I find when I use any reds, so this is also obviously a little bit red, definitely takes a bit longer to dry than the other colors. I don't know if it is because the red is so heavily pigmented that is the reason, but just wait for it to dry a little bit longer if necessary. Okay, so I don't know if you can hear, but we've got the pitter patter of rain, much needed rain. We have water restrictions at the moment. We have a drought in a lot of areas of South Africa, so we have been praying for rain. Okie dokie. So as you can see, I'm manipulating the alcohol ink with my paintbrush. Now you can use your felt daubers or dabbers to move your ink around, but to be honest, I don't like using them because they absorb a lot of your ink, and alcohol ink is actually very expensive. So I want you just to see that I have gone over the edges. You can see I've gone over the cat's tail there, but that's absolutely fine. So we'll let that dry. And then our last one is where? Here. Okay, so here we go. Now, interesting thing about this tag is that when I was making it, I accidentally tore the top. So nothing is ever wasted. Just put a patch on the top here and made it an accent. I think it's important to remember that nothing is ever perfect, and often what you see on social media is the edited perfect version of things. What people don't show you are the number of flops they have behind the scenes. So these 3 little cat tags are made with die cuts that I received in a Happy Mail, mini die cuts, very cute. And they're quite small, so one doesn't really know what to do with them. I have put on 2 cats per tag. There you go. I'm just making sure I've got all the little areas. Okay. Okay, now it's quite interesting, if I can just show you, the difference. Exactly the same ink, can you see? But the color looks completely different. So this one here that you're looking at was the tag that I did not color with the black Sharpie. And then this one with the black Sharpie, so you can see the color is a lot darker. I'm just dabbing some areas that I missed. And personally, I like the darker color. So these have to dry quite a bit because we're using red, and red is sticky. While it's drying, I want to just show you another thing or two. Okay, I'm not doing a tutorial on this, but I thought I would give you a sneak peek of what I did. This is a laser chippy, so the words have been etched into the wood, and somebody gave it to me on a gift. I thought, let's try a little trick, and I made this tag using the chippy. So there is already a tutorial on tracing and copying. All I did was I put my 70 micron tape over the chippy and I etched the naughty and nice. And here is a lovely little die cut that was given to me, and also put it under the tape and traced it, and there is your poinsettia die cut. How cool is that? Simple leftover piece of 70 micron tape that I would have thrown away, and I've made a stunning Christmas gift tag. Alrighty. Then I also wanted to show you these two while we're waiting for the ink to dry. This was using the patchwork technique, but what I did was I put strips all the way along, overlapping each time. So it's given quite an interesting texture, and I think let's color it. So some green and some blue, because let's go fishing. As you can see, I'm not cleaning my brush, so it's got red and yellow from the previous tags, and that's absolutely fine for me. There you go. And remember, look at your brown here. That's because I had some red on my tag or on my brush. And I really like the grungy look. Okay, so what other ladies have asked is what happens when you've made a mistake and you don't like the color, or I've ruined my tag. I've had a couple of ladies say I've ruined my tag. You know, you can actually remove the ink if you don't like it and start again. And all you do is use acetone on a little bit of cotton wool, and there you go. And nothing's ever ruined, so don't throw things away. We can always rescue them or rescue your project. Okay, all done. So there you go. We've gone fishing. But now I'd like to add a little bit more interest. So in the areas that I have techniqued, like on the words, I'm just adding a touch of color. And I'll put some in the Gone Fishing. And once again, you can see I'm not coloring the whole thing. I'm just coloring the areas that I want. Even though I'm not doing a very good job and I'm not very neat, that is absolutely fine. But I'm going to leave the fish plain. Okay, just touching up there. So you see, Gone Fishing. This is cute. Also a lovely gifted die cut. So here are two feathers. And I wanted to show you that firstly, I've done a bigger tag. You know, these are fairly standard, the smaller ones. But these make stunning bookmarks. And they're also lovely gifts to give away to friends now for Christmas. Inexpensive gifts, but very special. So both of these were using a feather die cut. This one I kept the background plain. And this one I techniqued the black background. And they are really stunning. I'm very hesitant to actually color them, but I think we'll do that because I see my other ink is still not dry. And let's do some yellow and green. I think that'll be good. Another thing that people have asked me is what kind of alcohol ink do I use? So I have tried different brands, and not that I'm promoting a specific brand, but I can honestly say that the Ranger inks are by far better than any other inks that I've tried. So yes, in case you wanted to know, Ranger inks is my go-to. So here we go. Once again, I did not clean my brush between projects, and that is absolutely okay by me. And you can see I'm using sort of short brush strokes to color in. So the technique I used on this feather tag is the little scratched lines, and it really takes a bit of time, but it's so worth it. And remember, if you don't know your color wheel, go and Google it, because if you mix blues and yellows, you're going to get shades of green, or you might get mud. You can see there it's going green. And once again, when you are using your black Sharpie, before you use your alcohol ink, you will get a reaction to your ink. So if you want clear color, do not use alcohol ink Sharpie, your black Sharpie, only use your alcohol ink. But to be honest with you, I like the grungy look. So I very rarely don't use my Sharpie. So there you go. Okay. So what do you think of that? Absolutely lovely color. Another thing that you can do is in the little areas of the feather, you can use your Sharpie pens and you can add a bit of color in those areas if you want to make it pop a little bit more. But I'm not going to do this here. And then this one, let's do, I think, some orange and yellow on this feather. So on this feather, it's the crumpled tape technique, and then I wrote freehand, now is all you have. So now is all we have. Remember, I'm not cleaning my brush. Just play with your alcohol ink. Don't be afraid. If it gives you any comfort, I metal taped for nearly 4 years before using color because I was so nervous to use alcohol ink. And what's easy for me might not be easy for you, but I think that's with life. We're all a little bit different and we all learn at different speeds. And we have different techniques that we learn from one another. So here we go. Oh, sorry. I'm just holding it with my fingers so I don't get ink all over myself because I seem to be covered in ink all the time. And I'm one of those girls that's forever hiding her fingers because they look so terrible. The nails are all broken and there you go. Okay. I'm going to use my brush and fill in some of the areas here. Very untidy as you can see, but trying not to go over all the silver, but not neat either. There you go. So as you can see, I have gone over the lines in some places, just touching up the edges. You can see nothing is very neat, but that's actually okay. All right, let's close all our inks because alcohol ink evaporates quite quickly. So keep them tightly closed. And hopefully our cats are a little bit dry and not too sticky. There you go. So this is just a little laminated sign that I made, and you can clean it afterwards with some acetone if you so wish. Okay, it's all put away. Right, let's get back to our cats and see if they are dry. They look good, good, look good. So, hard to believe, but all 3 of these tags were colored with the same color inks. This one, no black Sharpie. So you can see the difference. Look at that. Okay, we're going to buff them. Now you'll also see why I like using the crumpled tape technique. So nearly all my projects are using crumpled tape. And the reason is you get this lovely aged look. Okay. Okay, put that on the side. and I can actually feel that the red ink is a little bit sticky. So ideally, it would be better for you to wait a couple of hours before you buff your red ink. And you can see I'm holding my sanding block horizontal to the tag. Works better to do that. Oops, didn't need to bend it. Okay. Right, let's just dry them, dust them. Okay, so we have 3 tags that we have made using exactly the same technique, except the one tag we didn't use the black Sharpie. So not much of a difference that you can really see, except like where the eyes are, they are just shiny. Where you've used your black Sharpie, you have a bit of detail. And I think that's the best way I can actually show you, is if you look at those hole protectors. The one's just really shiny, the other one's got a bit of detail. And that is the reason I like to use the black Sharpie. I hope that helps, and I hope you have fun. Show me what you're preparing for Christmas and leave me a comment. Take care.